Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So sorry I haven't uploaded anything new to the channel. Just been really busy with, adjusting to life situations, along with working odd hours, at work, and not being able to have a lot of free time because of that. So it is a weekend, so obviously there's a lot more free time to do stuff like this. So what you clicked on today actually is Convention 101. So you're planning on attending a convention, whether that be an Oman's Con or something like a Comic Con or something more genre specific like an anime convention or a sci-fi convention, whatever it is. This is a guide for those of you who are newbies out there who are attending your convention, your very first convention. Excuse my editing skills. I like to screw up. I don't like to really write scripts. I have ideas in my head and then I just go with it. So please bear with me if I tend to mince words or jumble my English. So this video, as I said, is going to be for first-time convention goers, what to expect, how to plan, and some do's and don'ts when you're attending a convention. So I'm making this specifically for first-time convention goers, let alone friends and co-workers who are actually attending their first convention this weekend. My co-worker slash friend, Riley, hey Poindexter, how's it going? He's attending Anime North with me this coming weekend, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it'll be my first convention attending during a pandemic. So it's going to be very interesting to see like how things are run. I did attend Anime North 2019, which was the last time I went to that particular convention, but I haven't gone to any convention since, obviously because we were still trying to figure out how how businesses would operate. So a convention is a business just like anything else, and they need to make money, and obviously because of restrictions with COVID and the pandemic, events had to be shut down or postponed. So without further ado though, I'm going to try and explain to you my convention history, let alone what I've learned and some of the tips and tricks to make your first con experience a memorable one. So here we go. So first off, you've decided you wanted to go to a particular event. That's great. Conventions are all about fun and you should have fun. Some of them can be expensive, some of them can be inexpensive. They can range from either just a full weekend, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-day affair. Sometimes they're even longer. Sometimes they're 4 days, sometimes 5, depending on the size of the convention. So something like San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, those things are probably at least 3 days minimum. But you also have your one-day conventions as well. Stuff like that might be a little bit more local, that's not in a major city, something like that. So, but beforehand, before you jump the gun, decide to pre-register or pay for your pass, know how much stuff is. So right off the bat, know how much admission is and for how many days you want to go. So that's the first thing you should know, because in my book, everybody goes to a convention for a reason, and that reason that they decide to go is not always going to be the same for every single person. So for me, most of the times I used to go to conventions for meeting particular guests. Since I'm an anime fan, the most common guests that anime conventions would get would be voiceover actors who voice the shows I watch in English. So most of the time that's the reason I go. But there are other reasons to go, like some people go for the cosplay, some people go for the contests, all these other types of things. Artists specifically is another popular reason to go. Sometimes they just go to get a weekend, to get away. So everybody's reason is different. So there's no judgment here on whatever reason you decide to go to a convention. But, it's always good to have a reason. So, like, don't just go for the sake of going. But maybe that is your reason. So, first off, know where it is. And know, depending on if you live within reasonable distance of the convention, know how you're going to get there. And if you would need to make accommodations. So, In some cases, some people decide to book a hotel near the convention to stay at the weekend or the time of the event. So know beforehand the prices and the rates on hotels and things like that if you plan on staying overnight, or if it's more local and you can just commute there via car. Like the convention we're going to next weekend is within, I would say, less than an hour's drive from where we are. So I just don't see the point in, getting accommodations for the weekend for that. That's like a money you can save just by driving there. And usually for me, I tend to go to events that are within my immediate area. So the closest city to me is, for major events, is Toronto, which is where we're going. But that doesn't mean I won't attend conventions outside of Toronto. I've attended conventions in the US before, let alone other provinces in Canada. So, but those obviously require a little bit more thorough planning. And the earlier you can plan this stuff ahead of time, the better, because then you can, if you're trying to stick to a budget, for example, know how much you want to spend on, food, hotel, airfare, and that kind of stuff. So know beforehand, like I said, the cost of the admission, and then if you need accommodation, depending on where you live and how far it is to commute, how much that will go. And if you're going with a group of people, it's always good to go with more people, because then you can split up the difference. If you're staying in a hotel and then you have more people attending with you, like friends, family, anything like that, and you can divide up the cost, and it'll make it a little bit easier. So the convention itself, so if you go to a convention, first things first, know beforehand that it's a public place and there's going to be many people. It's going to be busy no matter what day of the convention it is, either the Friday or the Saturday or the Sunday. But in my experience, I've been attending conventions for about, let's see, I'm really dating myself now. My first convention was in 2004, and it was a small convention. It was just a 1-day or 2-day convention where I met some comic book artists way back in 2004. Wow. So 20 minus 2, so about, give or take, 17, 18 years, I guess, would be the correct amount of time. But in my experience going to conventions, Saturday has always been the busiest day, because that's the weekend where nobody works 9 to 5 and they have a lot more free time. So know going into that if you're going to an event like that it's going to be busy. And normally events, some events allow you to pick up your passes the day before the event actually starts. So in our case, we're going to Anime North 2022. The Thursday before the first day of the actual event where stuff takes place, they allow you to pick up your badge or your weekend pass, whatever it is, beforehand. So since Riley and myself pre-registered, we're going to go there on Thursday evening to pick up our pass, so that when we go in on Friday, we don't have to waste time being in line to go get our pass and things like that. So know beforehand if your convention or event that you're going to has that kind of option, if you will, to do that. And it's good to know, because then you can have more time to see various things around the convention instead of waiting in line to pick up your pass. So know that beforehand. Also, lines are unavoidable. No matter where you go, there's going to be a line of some kind. And we could have our pass already, and it's just a line to get into the building. So be patient beforehand, knowing that you're going to be standing in line, whether to get into the building or whether to go to a specific event. So know that beforehand. And if you're waiting in line, I suggest, this is key for any convention you go to, bring water. Definitely bring water, or bring something to pass the time with when you're in line waiting to go in, because sometimes these lines take forever to go inside. So something like a book, something like a Nintendo Switch, whatever it is that you can amuse yourself with before you go into the convention itself. So that's just to pass the time, to make the time go by faster, if you will. So once you're in the convention, it's a good idea to get the lay of the land beforehand. So most conventions will release their schedule and their floor plan or things like that on their official website before the event starts. Normally about 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the time. So it's been 2 weeks before Anime North is supposed to happen, and we have the actual physical finalized schedule. And Riley and I have been looking it over the last couple of days, deciding on what we want to do on specific days given our time, because we're coming straight from work and going to this event. So, and it's Riley's first convention, so there's a lot he doesn't know what to expect, because he's never been to a panel or anything like that. So he's just trying to find more information on what could potentially interest him. So, and for those of you who have never seen, you know, a con booklet, I'm going to show you one right here. So this is last year's Anime North. Ooh, what is this? Itadakimasu. Let's see. Anime North 2019 convention booklet. Now, this essentially is what you get also when you pick up your badge from pre-registration, if you happen to pre-register beforehand. But it details the rules, the overall rules of the convention, and the hours of operation, rules relating to weapons and props, and then obviously it's going to give you a little bit of a layout map of where all the events are taking place. And then the most important thing, you know, your map's interior for the dealer's room, where you like to buy stuff, the artist's alley, autograph sessions, anything like that. And where panels are, exterior maps of all the buildings and area where events will take place. This will be key, especially when you're trying to plan how to go about your day. But this obviously you're going to get when you pick up your convention badge. So, but beforehand, most conventions in this day and age, anyway, with the technology we have, they have things like the guidebook app, where you can actually see the entire schedule and then plan on what interests you and what you want to attend. And then it'll also tell you if you have too many things you want to do, if there's anything that conflicts or is running at the same time in one place and another place. So Guidebook is definitely a really good app to have, and most major events do have them. Have Guidebook iterations where you can look at the schedule beforehand. And so knowing that, it's good to plan ahead, as obviously prepare for what you want to do the whole weekend. So that's a given. So once you're inside the convention, probably one of the most important things that you should know, other than carrying water, is knowing where the bathrooms are. Definitely know where the bathrooms are, where the first aid office is, any of the things that are essential, you know, health and safety things like that. Because obviously if you're going to your convention for your first time and you just see how massive things are and how much floor space there is and how many of those things you recognize of the shows on TV you watch or the anime you watch on the internet, you'll be like, oh my god, it's so huge. You know, you'll be overwhelmed. And I'm sure Riley will be overwhelmed this weekend. Don't get me wrong. It's like, oh, that's that character, that's that cosplay character, or whatever. You know, you're gonna be able to just calm down, take a deep breath, and you know, sink it all in. Find the bathroom. So find the bathroom. So know where the bathrooms are, definitely, and then go on your merry way exploring. Conventions are all about exploring. I like exploring. You know, knowing where you know, different dealers and whatnot are for, you know, certain things you might be looking for, because obviously a big part of conventions is the dealer's room or the shopping area, where you can visit various vendors and stores. And if you're looking for a specific manga, if you're looking for a specific anime DVD, if you're looking for just for figures, anything related to whatever medium you're into, video games are a popular thing. And obviously there's going to be stuff like tournaments here and tournaments there, like stuff like D&D, stuff like card game tournaments, video game tournaments, you name it. All these pop culture events have these kinds of things. So it's also a good idea if you're into that kind of stuff to plan that ahead too. So that is key. Now, I like to go on to con etiquette, if you will. So one of the things, a common thing that you will notice in most conventions is cosplay, where attendees dress up as characters from popular TV shows, anime, comic books, that kind of thing. And in this day and age, everybody pretty much has a smartphone or a cell phone or a camera of any kind, and they like to take pictures of things. And that's not uncommon that you want to take a picture of a cosplayer because you think their craft is really good, or you think their cosplay is really good. If you find yourself noticing that people are taking photos of a particular person, like a cosplayer, let's say, in that sense, if people are already taking photos of them, they've already asked them if they don't mind snapping a picture. And most people who get asked to have their photo taken because of their cosplay, most of the time they do say yes. It's always polite beforehand to ask a certain someone if you like to take a photo like of their cosplay. That's just general common courtesy. Just ask beforehand. If they say no, they say no. Most of the time when I've asked, everybody said yes. I don't think anybody's ever said no to me, but it's just a common courtesy and politeness to, just ask somebody before you take photos of them. Of course, if you're like from far away or something like that, and a whole bunch of people are taking cosplays of Naruto characters or Bleach characters or anything like that, obviously you're not going to ask, and that's fine. But if you're like one-on-one with a specific person and you stop and say, "Excuse me, do you mind if I take your photo?" That's just common courtesy, and that's being nice, and that's being polite and respectful, more importantly than that, because they're people at the end of the day. Everybody has the right to be respected. So just know that going in, if you're going to take pictures of cosplayers or anybody in particular. Like, I know because I've cosplayed before, and I'm sure some of you watching this video who are a little bit more like veterans like me, who've been to events multiple times, know that you get asked every now and then if they like that character, whatever reason it is, they're going to ask you if you want to take a photo of them. So it's just polite, plain and simple, and it's the right thing to do. So that being said, some of you might be attending a convention for other reasons. So let's say you're like me and you want to meet a specific guest. You want to get an autograph signed, a memento, or a picture, or anything like that. So the way things used to go with certain conventions, autographs used to be free at anime conventions. That's why I have a shit ton of stuff autographed by some voice actors. Like I have like almost hundreds of items autographed by certain voice actors. But now and then, when this whole boom happened with conventions and whatnot, and it kind of went mainstream, obviously prices are involved now. So that's another thing with budgeting, is knowing beforehand on certain people. Like if you're planning to get an autograph from a certain person or celebrity or anything like that, knowing beforehand their prices. And obviously you should be well aware that what is printed on the website or in the guidebook or the con book is not always 100% accurate. What is accurate is what's at the table, and they always have a pricing guide. So that being said, it's always good, even though we live in this age of debit and credit, which sadly relies on the internet, it's always good to carry, cash around, and obviously there's ATMs scattered throughout the building on most of these things. So know beforehand to carry on a little bit of cash if you want to spend money at specific vendors, or paying for autographs and things like that. So with respect to autographs though, know beforehand what you want to get autographed. I used to, when I was a little bit younger, I used to, when I knew who was coming to the event, I would make a list, like an Excel spreadsheet, and then list every single actor and what stuff I had in my collection that I wanted autographed. And normally with autographs, it's normally one minimum per person, or 1 to 2 items. Some people have a different policy where if you get, they have a package deal, if you will. So if you pay to get like 1 or 2 signed, you get a third one like at a discounted price, or you get a third one free or anything like that. And they used to also do this. They used to combine them with photos. So a lot of people like to have a photo with their favorite voice actor or their favorite actor or celebrity as a memento, you know. And some of those people do those photos at the tables. Some of them do those photos professionally, like you have to book a ticket for that, and that's a separate cost. So know beforehand if you want to do something like that. And with relation to bringing your stuff to get autographed, if you're, for example, getting a DVD signed, and I'm not talking about the physical DVD, let's take this as an example. So I'm a big fan of the Ninja Turtles, right? The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon, media, whatever. So this is season 1 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's autographed by Robert Paulson and Cam Clark. I met on 2 separate occasions. So Raphael and Leonardo right there. So, but if I was bringing this to a convention to get autographed, I would not, rule of thumb, do not bring the case. Like the actual DVD case with you. Bring the actual item you want to get autographed. So in this case, take the item you want to get signed out. So it's really the sleeve that you want autographed, because then, sorry, this will last forever because it's on the actual item itself, and this too. This is what I do. So I take like a lot of the items I want to get autographed, and I put them in like a slip folder. So something like this, which I can carry along in my bag and stuff, and it's easy to access, and they're all flat and neat. Like if you were to like bring all the cases of all the DVD covers you want to get signed, and then you're waiting in line and taking them all out, you cause the line to get held up. And that's a hassle, not only for the guest, for yourself, but also the people waiting behind you who want to meet that specific person. And it's just a common courtesy. It makes your life easier, it makes their life easier, and everything moves along, and you get your moment in the sun, if you will, with your favorite personality and whatnot. So my advice to you is, if you're going to get autographs, have make a list of the items you want to get signed. Know if they have prices. Some autographs are free for certain people and some are not. But know beforehand that information before you're going into this. Take all the items you want out of their cases. Like, don't bring the case at all. Just bring the specific part you want autographed. Because there's nothing more embarrassing than when you're getting an autograph signed and they're signing the DVD case, but then the case gets destroyed and then the autograph is destroyed. But if it's on the actual item itself, then it'll last forever. You know, you just transfer it to another DVD case. So know that beforehand, and just be kind, be courteous. If you want to get a photo with them, or a shout out to your friend or anything like that, because they do these things now too. They do shout outs where you take your phone, and those used to be free, but obviously those cost money now too, a certain amount. But like anything, it's just a common courtesy. Just ask and be polite and be nice, and they'll generally be nice. And most of the time, when I've asked if I could, get a video for my friend, or if I could, get a specific thing signed, they're more than happy to sign it, but for a fee, of course, now. but either way, that's what you should do. Just the general rule, though, is the golden rule. Just treat everybody the way you want to be treated. Don't be a dick. Be kind, be courteous, be respectful. Be respectful, and that's key in something like this. So autograph sessions, there you go. Panels and stuff, and actually lining up for events beforehand, because obviously a lot of people, if they're anticipating a certain event that they know is going to be popular, something like an autograph signing, something like a specific panel or event that they know is going to be busy, some people will try and line up beforehand outside the room where the event is taking place, or the area where the event is taking place. So just know beforehand, like talk with con staff managing that area, if it's okay to line up beforehand to get a good seat, if you will, or reserve a seat. Because obviously the con is going like all weekend, so there's going to be like events beforehand that are just exiting. So just be polite, let the previous event empty out, and then you can go in when they say you can go in. Same with the autograph session. Sometimes you'll start to line up where you know where the specific person will be, but the con staff doesn't want you to line up because that blocks the walkway where you are, and that's, in their words, a fire hazard. So you just want to know beforehand if it's okay to, line up beforehand to get, a good seat or a good spot in line. So just know that going forward. With relation to certain events like, raves, dances, what else? Video presentations like AMV contests and stuff like that. The same thing. Know beforehand what time they start, what time you can start lining up. Always ask the con staff. If somebody you ask is not knowledgeable, because a lot of people are volunteers, then see if you can find somebody higher up the food chain. There's always the convention office, or like there's got to be like a hub, where certain people of higher superiority or higher stature can answer your question more accurately, if you will. Now, one of the things I like to do at conventions is obviously buy stuff. And rule number one is, if you're looking for a specific item and you find your specific item, know how much it is at that dealer, but also know this beforehand. There's tons of different vendors around the convention hall. So there's going to be lots of opportunity to look around and see if you can find that item for cheaper. And generally, it's not that much cheaper. I would say that buying certain things at conventions like DVDs and manga or things of that nature, the prices are generally the same as you would if you were buying in a store. Actually, online is the cheapest place to buy anime DVDs, because obviously with third-party sellers, they can sell the price at a cheaper rate than the MSRP, because they can just do that. So, but know beforehand how much you're willing to spend on a certain item, but also know this as well. Normally the first day of the convention, if it's in this case a 3-day convention, is normally the day I like to get all certain shopping things done, because Saturday is the busiest day, and that's when everybody shows up, and it's just a shit show in the dealer's room, trying to find, and it gets crowded. And maybe this is something I've developed over the 17-18 years of attending these things, is that I'm not claustrophobic by nature, but I generally like to have my personal space. I like to have time to peruse and browse stuff, and I don't like it so much when and it's not anybody's fault, it's just I like to have that, everybody has their little bubble, you know what I'm saying, their personal space, and I don't want you to invade my personal space. And this just transitioned for me into the real world, like outside of the convention, where if I'm in GameStop and I'm looking at stuff and whatnot, I generally hate the summer months, because that's when it's busier. That's when the kids are out of jail. If you've ever heard me say that quote before, the kids are out of jail and they're all up and everywhere, and people who don't like teenagers, they're out in full force and stuff like that. So you got to be respectful of people's personal space. And it's not that I'm claustrophobic or anything like that. I just don't like my personal space being invaded. I like to look at whatever I'm interested in peace. So know that beforehand, that you are going to experience busyness. So that's generally why I like to get all my shopping done, if I do any, on the first day. But also shop around. Maybe there's, or look around, I should say. Maybe there's a vendor selling that same item that you're looking for at a cheaper price. But also, this is where the map comes into view, because know where that seller that you saw it first was. Because if you go around and you don't find another seller or vendor selling that item you want at a cheaper price, and maybe theirs is slightly cheaper, then you know to go back to them and buy it. Because once you say, oh, I'll come back to it the next day, chances are that item is out the window, is gone. Somebody's snatched it up. So know that beforehand. Know where the item is. And this is where knowing the layout of the dealer's room is, and what vendor by name has that specific item you want. So that's one thing I couldn't stress enough, because I'll tell you this really quick story. Let's see if we can find her. There was a figure that I wanted. This was, I think, way back in 2013 or 2014 of Anime North. And it was a nanodroid of Mikoto Misaka from a certain scientific railgun. And I saw it at one dealer, and the box was pseudo-dented. And this is like the first release of it, because some figures obviously get re-releases, but those re-releases don't happen for months, years even. And I went and shopped around, couldn't find it anywhere else, and then I made the mistake of going back there the next day, and she was gone. And then I had never been able to find her since. But I was lucky, because a few years ago she got a re-release, so I picked up the re-release, which has a different box art, and this is a smaller box and whatnot. So know beforehand what you want to buy, how much it is, and just note that if you don't find it somewhere else, go back right away if you really, really want it. And another thing you should be wary about in any convention when you're buying stuff is the authenticity of something. So, because let's face it, sometimes the price is too good to be true for certain things, and it probably is, because it's not authentic. It's a bootleg. So, and I've seen bootleg figures. I probably bought in bootleg figures not knowing the certain specifics I should be looking for. I know for sure I probably have a couple of bootlegs I bought from Anime North that I didn't know were bootlegs until I examined them a little bit closer. If you're a fan of collecting figures like I am, like nanodroids or even pop-up parades, you generally know what the box art looks like for a nanodroid. There's a standard format for it. So know beforehand if somebody is selling something that looks odd or out of place. And obviously a lot of these sellers, there's also people selling retro video games and vintage video games. Know beforehand what the market value for that thing is, and know kind of the current value of it is and what they're selling it for, and question them, ask to see it, before you decide to bite the bullet and get that specific item. So know beforehand, like if you're shopping for something that's, somewhat rare, you should know beforehand the range of price that you're dealing with when you're buying from a convention, because obviously once it's bought, sometimes it's a final sale, so just be wary of that. But generally, in convention going land, be respectful, be happy, you're there to have a good time. You're there to enjoy yourself. Forget about work for at least 72 hours in most cases. But generally, have fun. That's what you're meant. That's why you're there. You're there to have fun. You're there to mingle. You're there to meet people who are, like the same stuff you like, and and hopefully make new friends and make new memories, make new experiences. So generally, be nice, be polite. Don't be a dick. Don't call out anybody on anything like that. Treat everybody the way you want to be treated. You follow these rules about planning ahead, taking care of yourself first and foremost, with your water and the convention rules and things like that, and you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine, and you're going to have a blast. You're going to have a blast, and you're going to create many many memories. And I have many, many memories of convention about meeting people and whatnot. It's sad the way with the pandemic is that this event that we have to attend, we have to wear the mask, obviously, the whole weekend. But, it'll be interesting to see how it's run. But also, if there is something that you're displeased with, on how things are run or how things are handled, take mental note of that. Jot that down in your tablet or on your phone, on your notes or anything like that, because most conventions do have a feedback section when the event is over. So voice your concern on what you think they need to improve on, what you think they did well, suggestions for any kinds of things. Those things should all be welcome at the convention's email address or on the website. There's got to be a section to leave customer feedback or criticism or creative feedback to help things improve, because let's face it, if you're displeased with something, say something and use your voice, and you have that right to use your voice. And this didn't happen to me specifically, but one year at Anime North in 2007, the cast for Bleach was there, the English voice cast. And obviously my friend and I at the time, we knew how popular Bleach was as a property. So we got there a little bit late, and obviously, like I mentioned, with autographs and stuff like that, the autograph line was already forming about an hour before the event was supposed to start. And obviously some of the con staff were volunteers, and they didn't know what people were lining up for. And there was somebody who was supposed to be in charge, and they didn't know why they were lining up. And my friend and I were near the end of the line. And then at the last minute, like when they arrived, they flipped the line. So now the people who were waiting, who were at the front of the line, were now at the end of the line, and we were near the front of the line. And the people who were at the front obviously got pissed off because they've been here longer waiting. And a lot of people, because the con staff, they obviously have to wear their badge with their name on it, they wanted to report this and complain about them because they weren't doing their job to the best of their ability. So I've had this problem at Anime North multiple times where they don't know how to organize a line. Sometimes they know that people are popular, but they'll have a cutoff point on where to stop the line from growing. And the guest was actually a bit upset that they cut off their line of people to see them for their allotted autograph session or whatever, and they hadn't even arrived yet. So, and I'm sure a lot of people got upset about that. And Anime North in particular used to be a little bit more strict with the rules about getting autographs and stuff like that. You only were allowed one, and you weren't allowed to take a photo with the guest. And let's face it, a lot of these kids who are into anime, who are into the voice actors, who follow their body of work, they like to get a photo with said voice actor. And I'm one of them. For many years I didn't like the way Anime North treated the attendees with respect to that, and I've even voiced my opinion on that several times. I had to ask outside of the autograph session, I believe it was Michelle Ruff or Stephanie Shea, who I had a big crush on at the time, if I could get a photo with the two of them. And it happened to be at an event that was outside of the autographs, like a Bleach panel or something, like when it was done, when there was like free time before. I just asked them nicely, and they more than happy took a picture with me, and I have that. It's one of my most precious memories. So if any of you have me friended on Facebook, I'm actually in the process of actually populating all those con albums with all the con photos and stuff like that. So if you follow me, it's gonna be a huge thing to undertake to upload. Not only that, but uploading whatever we take this weekend. I'm not gonna be as I used to be, a lot more excited about voice actors and meeting certain people, and there's people I've met multiple times, but I'm not really going to be going for the autographs so much this weekend. Like, I am for specific people, but not in vain as I used to, because obviously everything costs money now and everything is free, so it's more of a budget thing for me. Like, who do I really want to see? Who do I really want to get an item signed from? So, and that's kind of how the Comic-Cons work, is they're more of a business, as I said. Know beforehand what you're getting into, what the prices are, what times the events take place, whether that be the panels, whether that be the signings, whether that be the photo opportunities, because sometimes obviously they hire a professional photographer to take the photo. And just be prepared, because and if something doesn't go your way, like you happen to miss out on the session, it's not the end of the world. There's gonna be an event somewhere down the line where you'll get to see them again, and that's happened to me before too, is that if I missed out on somebody and I was bummed for a little bit, but then something came up in the future, like not too far in the future, there's always going to be another con, there's always going to be another event, and there's always going to be another time to make fun memories that'll last you a lifetime. So chin up, have yourself a good one, and just enjoy the weekend. So bottom line, convention goers, newbies, this is a long video, I know, but I had to do it this way. Prepare beforehand, know what event you're going to, if you need accommodations, how far it is, how you're going to commute to get there. Know the lay of the land, the map, the schedule beforehand. You can find that on the website. You can find that in the guidebook app, and know the maps too, where stuff is. Be generally kind, courteous, and respectful of everybody you meet. Ask if you want to take photos of cosplayers or photos of celebrities or anything like that. Ask beforehand. If you're getting autographs, have your autograph list prepared beforehand, what items specifically you want to get signed. Take the thing out of the case. Like, have the specific item you want to get signed, not the case it comes in, unless you want the case signed. And know their prices beforehand and whatnot. And shopping around, shop around. Even haggle a little bit. Give me a deal. $35. Know beforehand what the value of some things are, and just generally be respectful. And if there's something you're not too happy about, take mental note of that and give some criticism and constructive feedback. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out, con goers out there in internet, podcast land, and YouTube land. I hope you enjoyed it. It's definitely been a trip down memory lane for me to think about this stuff off the top of my head and not have a script written out for it beforehand. But I make long videos, so I'm used to that, and I know people don't have a big attention span, but it is what it is. Hopefully my next video that I make will be an unboxing video and won't be so long. So take care, everybody. Have yourselves a good weekend. Stay beautifully and perfect out there. Take care of yourselves and each other. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Kindness is king. And y'all, keep up the awesomeness. Take care. Love always. Bye-bye.